Kamala Harris has conceded the 2024 presidential race to Donald Trump, promising a peaceful transfer of power. Harris addressed supporters Wednesday afternoon at her alma mater, Howard University, after calling Trump to congratulate him.
In our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves.
With millions of ballots still to be counted, Trump is expected to match the 74 million votes he received in 2020. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, won just 68 million votes so far, lagging far behind Joe Biden's performance in 2020 when he got 81 million votes. The vast majority of the 3,000-plus counties across the United States, whether urban, suburban, or rural, swung right in this year's election. Control over the House of Representatives remains up for grabs, with dozens of races yet to be called. So far, Republicans have claimed 206 House seats compared to Democrats' 191. Whichever party reaches 218 will hold the majority and can determine who becomes House Speaker. Meanwhile, Republicans have increased their control over the Senate after winning a majority of seats for the first time since 2020. In Montana, incumbent Democratic Senator Jon Tester has lost his re-election bid, flipping another Senate seat for Republicans. He was defeated by Tim Sheehy, a former Navy SEAL endorsed by Donald Trump. Sheehy gets an A rating from the National Rifle Association as strongly anti-abortion. Earlier this year, Montana's Charcusta News published audio clips of Sheehy at campaign events making racist and highly offensive comments about Native Americans. In Nevada, Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen will hold on to her seat after fending off a challenge from Republican Sam Brown. Rosen's a former synagogue president, first elected to the Senate in 2018. In Michigan, Democratic Congressmember Alyssa Slotkin has narrowly won an open U.S. Senate seat, defeating Republican Mike Rogers. Slotkin's a former Middle East analyst for the CIA who served 3 terms in Iraq under George W. Bush. She also worked as a high-ranking Pentagon official under President Obama. Puerto Rico's non-voting member of Congress, Republican Jennifer Gonzalez, is set to become the island's next governor. She's a supporter of statehood for Puerto Rico and a Trump supporter. She's on track to narrowly beat Juan Dalmau of the Alianza coalition. The center-left third-party group made history gains in this year's election, with Puerto Rican voters disaffected with the 2 main parties. The world's richest person, Elon Musk, saw his net worth soar by over $16 billion Wednesday after Donald Trump secured victory. His net worth is now estimated at $290 billion. Musk personally spent about $120 million helping Trump get elected and used his social media site X, formerly Twitter, to promote Trump's campaign. On Tuesday, Musk wrote, quote, "Men are voting in record numbers. They now realize everything is at stake." Musk was echoing Republican talking points aimed at countering Kamala Harris's support among women and voter dissatisfaction with abortion bans. Trump vowed to install Musk as head of a new government efficiency commission. Musk has proposed cuts of at least $2 trillion to federal spending. Meanwhile, CNN and Politico are reporting Trump has tapped Brian Hook, a top State Department official during the first Trump administration, to begin staffing the State Department. Hook served as special envoy for Iran under Trump, leading the maximum pressure campaign of sanctions, sabotage, and assassinations against Tehran. Special counsel Jack Smith is reportedly preparing to wind down his 2 federal criminal cases against Donald Trump, in line with Justice Department policy that shields a sitting president from prosecution. Smith charged Trump with election subversion and illegally retaining classified documents. During campaigning, Trump said he would fire Smith within 2 seconds if he was reelected. Meanwhile, Trump's lawyers are expected to ask New York Judge Juan Merchan to delay sentencing in Trump's New York hush money and election interference trial. Trump's sentencing on 34 felony counts was postponed earlier this year to November 26th. Georgia's sweeping election subversion case against Trump is also at risk of being delayed due to his re-election. Immigrant communities across the U.S. and asylum seekers near the U.S. border are trying to figure out what an incoming Trump administration will mean for their safety and their rights. This is immigrant rights activist Jose Garcia, who works with asylum seekers in Tijuana.
For us, the concerns here in the north is that the migrant communities will be stuck. However, we will also see many migrants wanting to cross irregularly based on the fact that these aid programs are going to be removed. People will risk more to want to cross irregularly at the various points in our border areas. It is a latent risk where they can be robbed, assaulted, where they can be abandoned to their fate, and in a moment, they can even lose their lives.
We'll have more on immigration later in the broadcast with Stanford professor Ana Raquel Minyan. The Israeli military says Palestinians from northern Gaza will not be allowed to return to their homes, effectively admitting to ethnically cleansing the region. A military official said any future aid to Gaza would only be allowed to enter through the south, but not the north, where there are, quote, no more civilians left, unquote. UNRWA spokesperson Louise Wateridge posted a harrowing video from northern Gaza showing its utter decimation. Wateridge wrote, quote, no matter from what direction you enter, homes, hospitals, schools, health clinics, mosques, apartments, restaurants, all completely flattened. An entire society now a graveyard, unquote. This comes as the head of UNRWA warned once again the agency will collapse, quote, without intervention by member states. Reuters reports the UN suggested in a letter to Israel that replacing the aid provided by UNRWA would become Israel's responsibility after it recently cut ties with the UN agency. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization resumed large-scale medical evacuations Wednesday, moving over 100 critical patients out of Gaza. Fewer than 300 patients had been able to leave Gaza since Israel blocked the Rafah crossing in May. The WHO estimates up to 14,000 Palestinians are in need of urgent medical evacuation from Gaza. Israeli attacks on Gaza have killed at least 27 Palestinians since the day started, including at least 3 children in Rafah.